Okay, we're Erev Shabbos Parshas Va'era. It's a beautiful parsha. Everybody are very excited about it. Hashem is inflicting plagues on Pharaoh and Mitzrayim, people who tortured the Jewish people for so many years. Yeah, but if you start thinking, it's a lot of explanation. Let's start first with the beginning of the parsha. Interesting thing. Rashi says that while Hashem spoke to Moshe, Diber ite mishpat. The Rebbe spoke to him with judgment. The Rebbe was seemingly in pshat. The Rebbe was upset with him. What the Rebbe was upset with him? Because he came to a tiny to the Rebbe, why did he make it worse? Since when I came to Pare, it became worse. So he's complaining to the Eibishter. And then the Eibishter gets upset. Why are you questioning me? And he's telling me, listen, the forefathers of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov never questioned me. I also told them things, promised them things, I didn't fulfill it so fast as they would wish, they would want. And they didn't complain. You're already complaining. But let's talk about it. Let's go a little bit a step further. The Rebbe told Moshe Rabbeinu that he's going to harden the heart of Pare, and he's not going to send right away. So Moshe Rabbeinu knew it's going. So what did he complain? The Rebbe told you that's not going to be so easy. That's number one. Moshe Rabbeinu knew what is he complaining. Second thing, what is the Rebbe upset with you? If a person is complaining that Hashem is not nice to him, then you could say that's tzaddikim. It's past nicht. Why? Because you have to justify Hashem to there's something not so comfortable for ourselves, we have to justify it. But the principle is, but when for another Jew something not nice happens, we mustn't justify Hashem's judgment. We have to demand from the Eibishter that the other person doesn't deserve it. So when Moshe Rabbeinu was not complaining about something happened to him, complaining why Hashem made it worse for the Eden. That's a positive thing. And in general, we are using it in the whole of history, the idea that Moshe Rabbeinu complained, and that's the question of everybody asking why is good things happening, bad things happening to good people. So the first one to ask the question is Moshe Rabbeinu here. So we have it as a foundation to. So the question, what is Moshe Rabbeinu's question? He knew that's going to happen that way. He was told that way. And what is Hashem's complaint? And then it looks like Moshe Rabbeinu completely failed. Then in Chaval al Dabdin Mishtakhin, Chaval and our forefathers that they didn't question, and I could forget them, and you are questioning. Moshe Rabbeinu was a much higher madrega than the others. Why he gave the Torah and he took the out of Mitzrayim. So how come that the others were better than him? So that's then the question is also, what is the answer? What Hashem answered him? Hashem started saying to him, okay, the forefathers, I didn't fulfill it. Okay, very good point. But why did you make it worse since I came? If there is a question, what is the answer? If there is no answer, what is the question? There's no question in here. Because we said Hashem told him to make it hard. We could ask why Hashem made it hard, so hardened Pare's heart. Then another interesting thing, the Moshe Rabbeinu said the Jewish people will not believe me. Hashem told him to put in his hand in his bosom, and it came out with tzoras. Why? Because he spoke lashon hara and didn't. But the end we see they did not listen to Moshe Rabbeinu for short breath, because they were overworked, over enslaved. Moshe Rabbeinu was right. So what you're punishing him, something when he's telling you a reality, and he's not saying a reality just to speak lashon hara. In other words, we need to find a solution. You're going in a shlichus to speak to the Jewish people, so that give me a solution. Not give me a patch. If you ask a good question, you have to give you a patch. If the question is some anarish question, is one thing. But here it was important to pay mamish, how to handle it, how to go about it, in order to be able to get through to the Jews. Then let's ask the question on the Jewish people. What's the question on the Jewish people? Why didn't the Jewish people listen to Moshe Rabbeinu? What was the problem? They were promised from the beginning, Hashem will redeem you. And that was the key word, So you knew the whole time that you're going to be redeemed. To the point that Yankov planted the trees for the Mishkan already. So why couldn't the people listen to him? What means the yes, when a person is exhausted, you're right, he doesn't listen so carefully. But here somebody comes to redeem you, and you knew that we were told for hundreds of years that going to be a redemption. Why couldn't they listen? Couldn't they listen to him? And then Moshe still brings the argument that the Jewish people didn't listen to me. How could Pari listen to me? Especially that I'm a raus for sign. I have a speech impediment. He's not talking a nice speech in the Congress. He's talking to Pari, but taking it out of Mitzrayim, and he's threatening him with Makes. So what is different if his speech impediment or not? He'll give him Makes, he'll clap him till he'll understand. And so the Kal V'chemer said that the Eden didn't listen. For sure, Pari will not listen. Also, the Shvache Kal V'chemer. The Eden didn't give Makes. So, but Pari is going to give him Makes. Of course, he will listen. And in the beginning, he's also not going to listen. But later, when I get Makes, he'll listen. So, what did Moshe Rabbeinu trying to accomplish with saying that the Jewish people didn't listen? How will Pari listen to me? That I have a speech impediment. And I think we mentioned it last week. Why do you have like a speech impediment? Why can't I fix it? And besides, if you're shliach of the Eibishter, so you're working with the power of the Eibishter. What doesn't make a difference how you speak. If you speak nicely, don't speak nicely. Especially if you give him clap, he'll understand that it's a language where everybody understands. You don't have to speak nicely. Then what is the Eibishter's solution? That he has a speech that Aaron, you will speak and then Aaron will interpret. Aaron will explain it. First of all, I need Aaron. That's could be many. I'm sure the king had interpreters. He had the Jewish people working for him for 86 years. He had enough people who were interpreters. What is going to help if Aaron will speak? Okay, and he might initially. I would say that it's better that Moshe should speak because Moshe is a much higher level than Aaron. Right? He's the main shliach. So what do we need Aaron here for? What? What's not good? And when Moshe Rabbeinu spoke Egyptian language also, he didn't, because he was brought up in Pari's house. And then in the Parsha, he repeats it again, V'ani araus v'sayim. So Rashi gives a teretz. Because he stopped in the middle of talking about the yichus of Moshe, then he's going back to the beginning, so he's repeating what he said before. That's normal way of people speaking, you're right? That's a normal way of people speaking. When you go on a tangent and you come back, you repeat a little bit from what you said before the tangent. But it doesn't justify to write the pasuk in Chumash because of that. Chumash is exactly. So we'll have to write it again. So we have to learn it in a way where we understand that that's what he said before. It's pretty clear. So the question is two things. First of all, why did Chumash repeat it? Because people do it. And if people do it, what is it helping here in our case? Now, in our case, we must understand that everything what's happening here is part of the process in helping for the redemption. Then another question we have. When did the first Makkah, the first plague came of Tzfardein, frogs? And then Pare is calling him, saying, move it, take it away from me. I'll listen, I'll let you go. So Moshe is showing off. Say, okay, you tell me when do you want it to stop, and I will ask Hashem to stop it for that time when you want. So Pari says, tomorrow. So Moshe said, okay, I'll show you that tomorrow, I'll go and daven now. It's tell everything. I'll daven now to stop tomorrow. You see that to stop tomorrow. Now, what is the expression in Chumash that Moshe Rabbeinu went out and he shouted, Vayitzak el Havai. He shouted to the Eibishter. He called, he screamed, means he really begged the Eibishter. Why did he have to beg the Eibishter? You are working on the same team. You are a shlich of the Eibishter. Why do you have to beg the Eibishter that take away tomorrow? You should just come and give if you want. First of all, the Eibishter knows what's happening. Then if you want really to give a report to the Eibishter and say, I made up with Parah to stop tomorrow. If you want, if you're not going to plan, you should stop tomorrow. That's all. What is to scream to the Eibishter? Screaming means that you're calling out for something that you don't have. That you have a challenge, you have a struggle. So it comes, that tzedakah comes like from, we say, from pnimis halef, from the depth of the heart, in order to reach the higher level. What is the problem here? And then it's the same, another time, in another of the Makis also said that he went out and he called to the Eibishter with Vidam Talat. Again, the idea that he has to beg the Eibishter that he should cooperate with him. He's not doing his business, he's doing the Eibishter's business, but you have to beg the Eibishter. Then Rashi brings an interesting thing, that the whole Makis, how they work, is if you look, the Medrash explains how it's the tricks of war, in the strategy of war, kings who have war, that's who's going. So it's Sfardim, making noise, and not first the dome, you knock the waters, and then you make the noise. It's a strategy that how kings lead the war. Beautiful Medrash, beautiful work. What's the gay? Why did Eibishter have to go into Chassidus in the system of what kings go? Eibishter go everywhere he wants. What is the purpose of going, and what we have to know that it's the Chassidus HaMilchama. Now let's just give it a more general question. What is the connection between the Makis to Pare with the Jewish people coming out of Mitzrayim? Rabbi said, "Leman yedu Mitzrayim kani Havai." And in order the Egyptian and the Eibishter. Okay, so the Rabbi has a cause he wants the Egyptian to know. Fine, very good idea. But that also needs explanation. What's the Chongeter? What did you decide that the Egyptian, who are the wicked people, is the worst country in the world, in morality and everything, that they should know that ani Havai. But why was it connected with Eden? Take the Eden out, then give them plagues. Send Moshe Rabbeinu or whoever you want to give them plague. They should know that the Eibishter is the king. What should they tell them to do? I don't know. What is the connection between the Eden and the Egyptian? Right? That Pare should know then, and that everything is connected. The Jewish people should come out from Mitzrayim. In other words, it means it's very much connected, very much one with the other. Okay, so we have to see what's happening here. So I would say the question is like, and also there's 10 markets. Why 10 markets? Why not more markets? Why not 11 markets? Why not 9 markets? And why did it take a month? And then each market was a month, 3 weeks warning, and 1 week was the market. So altogether it took like approximately a year, 10 months, whatever had worked out over there. What is the purpose of that? They can make it a half a year, they can make it a 5 markets, or give them one market to take the like Mitzrayim. And the question, what is the point in hardening Pharaoh's heart And then you're giving him plague. What you're giving him? You're hitting him because you harden. You didn't give him a free choice. You harden his heart. So how could you? So are we cheating him? Are we lying to him? What are we trying to accomplish here? Okay. So that's basically the overall idea of and try to understand what's happening in the Parsha with the whole 10 Makkos or Tzias Mitzrayim. And as we mentioned, I think last week, that is everything that we Jewish people do. We do Kiddush with Tzias Mitzrayim. Krishna mentioning Tzias Mitzrayim. Tzias Mitzrayim is like the center of Yiddishkeit. Not even the idea of creating of the world. Okay, so what we have to understand basically, first of all, the idea of 10. That's what, when you think about the number 10, it's very simple. The idea there's 10 spheres. 10 spheres, Chochmah, Binah, Das, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. Each sphere, Malchus is the lowest sphere, and each sphere is a deeper level than the other spheres. Malchus is the lowest, then goes emotions as a group, but even in the emotional Chesed, Gvura is the main, and Tiferes are the main spheres, main keches, and then Seichel is the highest. So when we're talking about 10 Makkos, looks like we have to get into here to the 10 levels in the spheres in the world, in the people, in the Egyptians, in the Jewish people. Interesting in the Agada, we find interesting machlekes. Says of the Menai Shekol Mako Hoyso Me'arba Makkos, from 4 Makkos. Shalach Barom Charein Ape Ever Bazar Mitzorim Mishlachet Malcharoim. Then I think Rabbi Kiva said each Makkah has from 5 Makkos. So first they're saying that 50 Makkos, so if every Makkah was from 4 Makkos, so it's 200 Makkos, and if it was 5 Makkos, from 50 times 5 is 250. So what's the idea of 50 with 200, 250? And for each Makkah is from 4 Makkos, each Makkah from 5 Makkos. What is the idea of that? Last time it makes it more interesting that every Makkah had different levels and different ideas. So those things explains a very interesting idea. We have something negative. It could be negative in 3 levels. One way could be something negative. The way it is as a final product, it's a bad product. In the person, the way a person has a certain emotion, the way he is now, is a final thing as he's functioning. It's a negative thing. He's angry now. He's jealous now. He's whatever. But the question is, when you have an element, something that is bad, every idea in the world is put together from 4 elements. Eish, Ruach, Mayim, Morpho. Fire, air, water, and earth. That's in Gashmis. Every physical thing is from 4 elements. And the same thing is also in a spiritual level. There's Eish, Ruach, Mayim, Morpho in a spiritual level, as Rabbi explains in Tanya. Fire is like the idea of anger and arrogant. Cholu in the first chapter of Tanya. So it could be a physical thing, something that's a bad product. So what I do, I demolish it. I'll bring it apart to the 4 elements of fire, water, air, and earth. Then the 4 elements, when I have the fire separate and the water separate and the air and the earth separate, it's not bad element, they're good elements. But the way they were put together, they're negative. Physically, same thing spiritually. Something that's put together from 4 elements could be a midah, a bad midah. But if I'll take it apart, it could be a situation where each one individually is not bad. And Tanya is talking how the elements are also bad. It's klipas nega, it's sholish klipas at meiz, it's klipas nega, but then it's bad. But I'm saying in general, the idea, when you see something bad, you have to first analyze how deep is the badness. Is the final product bad? Or the elements are also bad. So if we come to conclusion, you see, start dealing with it, you see that the elements, the 4 elements, each one of them is also bad. So now destroying it doesn't help you, because when you destroyed it, you separated the elements, you have each element separate, but you have 4 bad elements. If you put it together again, it also be only bad could be there. Cannot be good. Why? Because the elements are bad. So 4 bad elements cannot create something good, positive. Then you have to change the elements, you have to get rid of the elements, either find a way how to transform them from negative to positive. Now there's another stage. The other stage is, there is something deeper than the 4 elements called Ker Hayuli, potential existence. So even something when the 4 elements are bad, but could be when you go deeper in the 4 elements, you destroy them to the level of potential of Ker Hayuli. So there's no fire, there's no water, there's no air, there's no earth. There's only Ker Hayuli, only potential of existence. Could be, but that's not bad already. So then, when you want to change, when you want to take something bad, okay, so let's say we took a final project, it was bad. So we separated the 4 elements. Now we check the 4 elements, they're also bad. So you can do nothing with it. I mean, just create something bad again. So now, when I say that the elements are bad, so now I destroy them in a deeper level. I nullify them in a deeper level, that they come to the level of potential existence. It's not an existence of element, a potential of existence. It's a much more refined existence. And then, if that potential is not bad, okay, so now I can go to potential, and then from the potential, I can start creating now elements. I can create new elements from the potential. The elements before I destroy them to bring them to the level, to the deeper level of potential of Yuli. Now with the Yuli, I'll create 4 elements. Well, good. And then I'll create a final product that is good. But what do you do if you find out that the potential, that the negative is so deep, that even the potential is bad? Almost like that's the essence of it is bad. So now when you have the Ker Hayuli, the potential, and you create from that. If that is bad, if you create again, go back to create from the potential, from the Yuli, 4 elements, there'll be 4 bad elements. How do I get rid of that now? So it means that they have to be able to destroy the Ker Hayuli, has to destroy that, the potential, to become even nothing completely, much deeper. And then create a new potential that's good. And deep new potential I have to create 4 good elements, and then create a final product of goodness. What is that negative? That's negative, every person has it. Every person has all these levels, what we are talking about. So we have to know where is our level. So again, what's happening with the Mitzrim exactly now here, that's why it says, Rabbi explains why it says every Makkah had 4 Makkahs, because the Egyptians were not bad only as the final product, but if you dig as deep as you want, each element to separate, take an Egyptian in spiritual level, to divide them into 4 elements, there were 4 negative bad elements. That's why every Makkah had to be from 4 Makkahs, not only to destroy the final product, but to destroy the elements of them, to nullify the elephant, the 4 elements. And then you got the Ker Hayuli, the potential. Now here's a machlekes. This means like, so that's what, if the potential is good, then 4 Makkahs is enough. I destroy the 4 elements. Now I have the potential. Potential is good. Now I'll create 4 elements of good, and then a final product of good. But if the potential is also bad, I need a 5th Makkah. But the 5th Makkah is not only just another 5th Makkah, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a much deeper Makkah that's able to nullify completely the potential, the Ker Hayuli, to make it Ein, but to make it Ein, to make it nothing, that it realizes the source that's coming from godliness. That's not covered up over there. Now, Mitzrayim, Hashem created Mitzrayim, right? The negativity in the world. Why? Because when we want to get to, as we spoke before, not today, I think, to reveal a deeper goodness, it says Hashem created positive against negative. So the more you have, if you have a deeper goodness, then you must bring in a deeper negativity in order to force you to reveal a deeper goodness that should overcome that negativity. Therefore, I would say the Mitzrayim is not only the Jews were in Mitzrayim. The Mitzrayim was in the Jew. Mitzrayim was in the Jew. If we start even the idea of limitation means it's limited, that the idea of thinking that the world is a real Metzius, there's something beside the Eibishter, God forbid. That is the idea from the Mitzrayim, or even the negative elements Hashem created by us in the Nefesh Abamis. And therefore, the Mitzrayim, the Jewish people had to go out from Mitzrayim. I would say not only they had to go out from Mitzrayim, they had to take out the Mitzrayim from the Jewish people. I'm just jumping a second. That's why the Jewish people came out from Mitzrayim. They didn't go into Eretz Yisrael, most of them. Why? Because you took them out from Mitzrayim, but you couldn't take out completely Mitzrayim from them. Okay, so now, to make sense, so the whole idea of Moshe coming to Mitzrayim was the idea of bringing out a deeper, to deal with a deeper level of the negativity. And Hashem created in Mitzrayim the deepest level of negativity. And that came out in a physical sense, even terrible that how they tortured the Jewish people. But basically it's a reflection of what's happening in a spiritual sense. And therefore the Jewish people had to overcome that in themselves, the Egyptians in themselves. So now, therefore, it's not a question again of just taking them out of Mitzrayim physically, or even spiritually taking them out of Mitzrayim. It's not it's a question of getting to the bottom of the depth of every idea and transform it into positive. In order to get to a deeper idea of negativity, and that there should be a recognition of godliness and destroy the negativity, and then see if you could transform it. If not, so therefore, what happened here is that, and we see that Hashem made him strong. What did make him strong? The reason Hashem made him strong in order, but ultimately to that be able to reveal, and we'll have to reveal a deeper level of positivity, of godliness. Off an attention there a second. To create negativity is a very, very deep level of godliness. Why? Because if the person is a good person, especially the Abish is the essence of goodness, in the essence of truth, where is negativity coming from? Why should he create negative? That means he has to go in himself in a deeper level beyond his goodness, in some deeper level, yes, in order to reveal goodness. But a deeper level in himself, what creates the negativity. They're saying the idea, I think we mentioned it. Something the higher it is, the lower it could go. So the source of negativity is very, very deep, very high. Like we said, Esau was coming higher shares than Yaakov. But Hashem made it, and He's giving us the challenges. And here in Mitzrayim is the first time by the 10 Makkahs that we started to work in a system with every level in the Jewish people. But also this was in a year compared to that we have to do it later in the whole of history. That's why we're mentioning in Mitzias Mitzrayim, because that's happening in every person, in every generation, in a microcosm, in a bigger way, in a whole development, in a whole development of history. Therefore, let's go next a few minutes to see that point will explain us answer the question. Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi is talking to Moshe Rabbeinu harsh, right? Because he's complaining to the Eibishter. Loma reis loma zeh. Again, we are talking about the Eibishter is the essence of good. Moshe Rabbeinu is the biggest Navi, the biggest tzaddik, is one with the Eibishter. So the harshness means the revealing a deeper level from the Eibishter to give them, to help him. It's not just Hashem is got to upset Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm disappointed with you. I told you. Of course, Moshe Rabbeinu knew. But practically now we have to do it. Something there's going to be a hard job, but now we have to do the hard job. Moshe's question wasn't Chas v'shalom doubting the Eibishter. Of course not. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying is everything that every word that says in Chumash is another step in development into the next level. So of course that's what Moshe Rabbeinu demanded was a mile, because it was an advantage that he demanded the safety of the Jewish people. That's why Hashem spoke to them harsher. Harsher means from a deeper level. Here the idea of speaking harsher doesn't. Now he asked the question, why the Jewish people didn't listen to Moshe Rabbeinu? He's very Parshas. Because they were in exile. What means they were in exile? They were trapped in such a deep negativity, they had 49 gates of impurity. So the Rabbi said, the definition of Golus, definition of exile, is that you don't see godliness. Okay, we'll stop here. So the idea that we have to go out from Mitzrayim now, and be with Mashiach and Beis Hamikdash this Shabbos. With Shabbos Mevorchim, and Chodesh to Yud Shvat, call to Mashiach now.